I don't know. I'm going to do my best, whether it happens or not, because the necessity to transition to another system doesn't change, regardless of how long it takes to get there. So.
Oh, I think we're sort of in an era where we may witness that collapse is happening faster than you could possibly create legislation to patch it up. I think that may speed things along. I really hope that when I talk to people about the movement, they say, when do you think it's going to happen? I'm like, I hope in my lifetime. I don't know that we would have that long, but just because I do think there is a point of no return. But I also hope, if we were to, get this message out and have people recognize it, the values need to shift in the mass awareness happens, that it would happen very quickly. And I think it somewhat depends on that pressure that's coming, and I think it's coming. I just don't know how fast or how well we can do our part, and I hope you guys are involved in a chapter or engaging people at least where you are. All of you, I see people shaking their heads, yes, yes. You're passing along the materials in whatever way you can to just try to connect with people on, don't you notice that we need a new system, and the values of the market system do not line up with human values, and those kind of conversations, and that's what's going to bring it, and it needs to happen, I know.
I'll just make one more practical comment regarding what people can do. It's really a research project in a lot of ways. So if we're in a university right now, we'd hope, and I've seen this across the world, you have sustainability sectors opening in different colleges, green sectors, people that are looking for renewables and all sorts of things. It's become very popular, which is great because it's sort of the seed of this new focus of where economic efficiency will come from, which is really the technical application, not the management of money, of how to do it or finance. It's just how do we do it, what's possible. And if you can get that train of thought out there, and so if anyone's engaged in engineering or anything like that, if you focus on that and you get other people to focus on that, and suddenly you get this sort of self-generating kind of self-logic of, okay, boom, we have someone over here working on transportation, and boom, it begins to sprout up about what's technically possible. And I think that's a powerful place to be. So whenever I meet people that are going to college, I ask them what they're doing. If they say they're studying economics or they're a lawyer, I always cringe. I say, why don't you go into one of the green side, structural engineering or programming? These are legitimate things that will have a technical place in the future. See, unfortunately, people think financially. They say, well, I'm going to get a job. And that's just the sad reality of it. But hope that helps. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Eddie Jones. I'm actually a graduate student in psychology, so I'm one of these people not doing anything technical.
Actually, no, psychology has its place. That's very relevant.
But, my question was, I heard a lot said about sort of the free market and sort of the market economy being a cause of sort of the problems and sort of these technological solutions that are being advocated as ways that we could really improve society. And I'm really wondering where the role of spirituality is in that, because some of the things that I hear you saying sound very spiritual in nature in terms of understanding the group mind, understanding these divisions are artificials in terms of this association that we have with our ego and our body and being individuals and such. And I think that's a really crucial component of this evolution that's happening right now. But I didn't really hear you use the word spirituality or anything like that, and I didn't know if it was because of a stigma with that or what your thoughts were on that.
I've commented on that, and I can let others address this too. But to me, in all the research on spirituality from different religions to philosophies, it always has to do with a relationship, right? It's finding your place or finding some connection with something larger order, so a higher power, things like that. And I think with the advent of science, we've really discovered a functional spirituality of relationship without even knowing it, because it's not as romantic. It's not as, it doesn't have the projections that we associate with normal religions because it's so concrete. Therefore, it isn't really regarded as spiritual to understand, say, gravity, to understand how the world works, to understand these empirical notions that we've talked about, to understand the world is one unified ecosystem and we're one species sharing it. If that isn't an utterly spiritual notion with respect to humanity, I don't know what is, But people don't think that way, But so it's a relationship, and if you can, your relationship to your environment, to me, is the ultimate form of spirituality, the ultimate definition of what it means to be, well, understanding and connected with the higher power, if you want to use that terminology. So that I've stated that actually on numerous occasions. What else? You know, it's subjective, I suppose. But what else really can there be? It's what is success? As I've stated before, it's your relationship to the environment and adapting to it. It's not how much money you get. Success is really how you interact in the most efficient, strategic, and beneficial way. Not beneficial in the sense of your own self-preservation, because that's actually detrimental in the long run. If you're only out for yourself, that's anti-spiritual. And unfortunately, that's the way most religions operate, with the soul and all that stuff. You know, that doesn't work. It's not functional. So I hope that helps. If anyone wants to add in. Shar, do you want to say something? You okay? Just making sure you're sitting there.
Yeah. So just say your name and
Just let me know.
you know.
Hi, I'm Sean. Nick and I are the founders of the Zeitgeist Club at USC. I want to give a shout out to students here. If you have time afterwards, please meet with either me or Nick, because we want to talk to you since we haven't yet in this semester, except for via technology. My question to the panel is that I see two problems for an abundant society, two social problems that only a scarcity-based society can manage. And those are, number one, creating incentives to colonize other planets, obviously because we exhaust the resources available on this one. And that is good for external reasons, such as the fact that, you know, we'll inevitably be killed by the Yellowstone supervolcano. It's real. It's not actually that funny. And two is population. As we all know, carrying capacity of the Earth is a function of population, technology, and the fixed resources on the planet. And we've discussed tonight why a resource-based economy would advance technology and why it would manage the resources more effectively. But I don't see what the selection pressure is for number of children. And I also don't understand what the computer would do given that every additional person that is born is making every other person poorer. How is that decision made, and how would we incorporate an ethics into that system such that it doesn't send us to Siberia to die?
Excellent questions. Well, let's see. First of all, I always like to quote Carl Sagan when he talked about how we went from Europe and then eventually made it over the ocean and then to colonize America, as it were, the Americas. His point is that I think his language is wanderers in a cosmic ocean. And the very fact that it's inevitable if we survive these periods that we'll colonize space. Just as we move to different places on the Earth, we will move to different areas around the universe. We've only had 100 years of advanced technological development in the human species. Can you even fathom what it'll be like after 1,000? It's going to be ridiculously absurd, beyond anything we could ever think of, beyond anything Star Trek could possibly come up with, unfathomable. Is that fathomable? Say that right? Fathomable? But we've got to keep that in mind. So if we do continue to expand population, which, by the way, is a decision, it's an awareness issue. If people are not educated, they have early religious upbringings where they say, be fruitful and multiply. You can't have that value on a finite planet. It doesn't mean we've hit an exhausted point yet either, but obviously the theory is wrong if you just think that if anyone has the value that they have the right to procreate and have no consideration of their environment, that's the wrong way to look at it because it's just not physically accurate. It doesn't make sense on a finite planet unless you're intending eventually to move off the planet, which we'll probably do if we survive these periods. As far as the last question you stated regarding the reality that every person brought in takes resources from everybody else, which is mathematically true on a certain level, that is a general accepted notion of what it means to bring a human being into the world. And that's what each parent needs to understand. They need to understand not only that, they need to understand that they're creating an individual that can have dramatic effects on the planet and each other. This is a very serious thing when people bring in other people. It's probably the most profound thing that any human being can do, yet it's done almost haphazardly today. That's a complicated question. People would trash me from head to toe for even saying things like that, especially people that have a religious mindset. But I'm sorry to say, that's the technical reality. We are just like anything. It's a technical orientation. People are technically here, and we have a technical place, and there is a firm mathematical reality to just about everything we do, the amount of nutrition we need and everything else. And it's the recognition of that which is so important. Doesn't make it good or bad. It says, this is reality. It's not like I get mad at gravity. It's like, this is it. And I might as well accept it, and I might as well adapt to it and operate responsibly. And that's what I hope generations will understand as these values come forward about what it means to live on a finite planet.
I would just add that also, as far as population, education would be a huge part of it. And part of that's when we're talking about the value set and having a different set of values in approach to the system, but also an approach to life. That would include some of the reasons why people feel the need to have a child in this current system. Sometimes it's from family pressure, sometimes they feel like they